everybody, and welcome to another week of Let's Talk. I am your host, author Dree Lett. Come on in the room and have a seat so we can let's talk. All right. As you guys know, this is the show where we inform, inspire, and motivate. We get going in these tough times and beyond. First off, I want to make sure that you guys watch every week on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Make sure you hit like and hit share and tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a friend. Every week, I like to recognize my live virtual studio audience. I see several of you on here watching. I'm going to check and see who's checking in with me tonight. And for those of you that are watching this pre recorded, just know that you too can be a part of the live taping. You can just go to my Facebook page, which is Let's Talk with Author Drelette, and there you can watch it as well as chime in and ask questions and things of that nature. So let's see who's watching tonight. Yes, okay. My faithful viewers. Our hubby, one of the producers, is watching from the man cave. Mwah, love you. Mommy in Love is watching from Vegas. Mwah, I love you too. I see several of you coming on in the room. Yes, indeed. Come on in and have a seat and let's talk. We got so much to talk about tonight. Later on, we're going to have, let me go back a step here. This is called Olympian Friday. Yes, I've got some Olympians, guys that participate in Olympics and just are extraordinary men. So I want to have them on tonight. And one of them is Tonie Campbell. He is an Olympian. He's got a medal, a bronze medal, and he'll be on a little later. And we have sprinter Steve Williams, who also participated in the Olympic trials. So, you guys, going on to hot topics. Oh my goodness, so much to talk about, so much to woo. This world is getting crazier and crazier. I was just thinking the other day, if I saw King Kong or Godzilla walking down the street, I probably wouldn't even be shocked. I'd be like, yep, hi. Because there's so much going on, you guys. I'm just floored. So, first off, the hottest topic of them all, as some of you know, is the COVID shot or COVID booster shots. So now they're saying, according to several media outlets, they are saying that if you got Pfizer or Moderna after 6 months, or I think it's 8 months, you're going to have 50% of it'll be 50% effective. Now I'm like, no way, this is crazy. And they're talking about booster shots sometime in September. So now those of us who are vaccinated, we got to sign up and get ready to get a booster shot because we need something else. I guess the Delta variant is just so strong. It's just breaking through the vaccines that we've got. So, I know a lot of people have a lot of questions and some people say it's controversy. I just think that it's science and some stuff they're learning and knowing and some stuff they don't. So, we just got to do what's right. We got to go with science. And these poor little babies going to school. I know here, and I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. And here, one of the counties here, they've got such an alarming rate of COVID among the kids. And I feel so bad for them because you see these parents out here picketing, refusing the vaccine, refusing masks. And I just don't even understand it. I thought we're supposed to protect our babies, right? But you want them to be in harm's way. I don't get it. I don't get it. Somebody please chime in and let me know your thoughts on that because that is one that I am just puzzled behind. I don't understand that. Okay. Hey, Milton, how are you? I see you on here. Hello from Michigan. He's checking in from Michigan. So, you guys, like I was saying, with the COVID and the booster shot and the mask, I know my children are grown, but if I had small children, I'd want them protected. I would put a mask on them in a heartbeat. And if they were eligible for the vaccine, I would make sure they're protected. So, I just don't even understand that. Let me look over here. Some of the people chiming in. You guys tell me what's your thoughts on that. And then the second hot topic I want to talk about is Afghanistan. Oh my goodness. I mean, just seeing that, I'm just in tears. The other day they were hopping on the planes and people, and one of the young gentlemen, he fell to his death. He was a soccer player, very, very good soccer player. And it's just so sad what's going on over there. It really, really is. And I know I'm not trying to get into politics, but I don't know. It's just sad to see them suffer like that. I just hate that. So my thoughts and prayers go out to those who are over there, those that are trying to get back to America. And I just hope that it's a peaceful government. I really do. I pray for that. And also with Haiti, oh my goodness, with the earthquakes and so forth, praying for them as well. Haiti has been through enough with their president being assassinated, and then with the earthquake. So praying for them, praying for them. So you guys chime in and let me know your thoughts on that. I know it's kind of a crazy, crazy time that we're living in, but we got to stay prayed up. We got to stay prayed up, and we got to keep pushing on, and we got to make sure you surround yourself with positive things like this show, watch positive movies, and just stay prayed up and in a positive mindset. That's my 2 cents on that. So all right, so I'm going to introduce my guests. Yes, indeed. I'm super excited to have them on. I'm honored, right? Super honored. Okay, so we have an American former hurdler. Yes, he is the 1988 Olympic bronze medalist in the 110-meter hurdles. No, with further ado, Mr. Anthony Tonie Campbell. You guys welcome him to the virtual stage. So let's talk. I'm going to bring him on in. Uh-oh. Hey,
Well,
Tony, how are
hey,
you?
what, Dre? You did not just call me Anthony. Am I in trouble? Because only my mama calls me Anthony.
I'm sorry. I was going by Wikipedia, so but
Yeah,
you
well, yeah,
Tony,
yeah.
right?
You know what? I still haven't figured out how to edit your own Wikipedia page. Everybody else puts stuff in there, but I haven't figured out how to do it. But Anthony's fine if you guys want to call me that, because I figure at this age I should start being more sophisticated. So maybe I'll be Anthony now.
Oh, so how
Well,
are
thank
you,
you for
sir?
having me.
Yes, thank you for coming on. I am so honored. Thank you so much. And you
Absolutely.
are in San Diego, I believe.
I am in San Diego right now in my office, school office. I'm a university coach. Just became an assistant athletic director, and I'm a senior event manager at the college. I have many hats, but um, I've been trying to go home for 5 hours just to come back, get some eat, change clothes. But we start school on Monday, and just like you were mentioning, trying to get through this new normal and trying to get a school that's been closed for over a year and a half up and running has been a chore. So,
Oh,
yeah, we've had meetings all day and trying to get athletes COVID tested, because we just within the last 72 hours went to a fully vaccinated college. You can't work, you can't study, you can't be on campus unless you have the vaccination. And that's been a challenge because there are several individuals that are anti-vaxxers or misinformed and believe the government's trying to hardwire them somehow. I don't know.
that's not crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah, absolutely. In the meantime, we walk around with our cell phone. If they really wanted to follow us, they've been following.
Hello, or your iPhone watch, or
Exactly.
your OnStar in your car. Oh my goodness.
Everything. Yeah.
I
I
know.
mean, it's just nuts what people think sometimes.
Yeah, and they say, "Well, I don't know what's in that shot." Well, you don't know what's in what you're eating or drinking either, do you?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, and we don't complain about seat belts or a whole bunch of other things that the government mandates. But yeah, oh no, we draw the line at this vaccine. Although you probably grew up, you had a polio vaccine, you had all your other shots. But this was the one. This is the one you're gonna stop everybody on. So
Crazy. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, that is awesome that you're giving back to the younger people and being a coach. And so are you coaching track and field or?
track and field, and I've been coaching here at this college for 20 years. This is be my 20th year, and this is my 7th year of cross country, which there is a vast difference between track and field coaching and cross country coaching. And I'll let you in on a secret. Cross
Okay.
country coaching is the best. All you do is point them in a direction, say, I'll see you back here in 45 minutes.
I ran track in high school and I used to see those cross country guys and I'd be like, man, they run far, but that's funny.
Exactly. I tell you what, the one good thing about cross country coaching as well, besides that, you get to go some great places, great parks, all that kind of stuff. But if you're a fan of social media, especially, yes, I'm one of these people that have become hooked on TikTok.
Yes,
I'm TikToking away while my athletes are running.
me too. It is so hilarious. You can watch it for hours and hours.
Hour. Before I know it, they're standing behind me. Go, Coach, we've been here for 10 minutes. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. You know, it's been
TikTok
great.
is
It's good.
fun, definitely. Well, that is so awesome. So, sir, we just wrapped up the Olympic Games in Tokyo. So, tell me, what was it like competing in the 1988 Olympics?
Well, okay, so I'm one of the rare, if not one of the rarest Olympians that there are. And let me explain myself. So I made three Olympic teams. Okay, so I made 1980, 84, and 88. Well, if you remember your history, and some of you probably weren't even born out there, but in 1980, the Western world, especially led by the U.S., we boycotted the Olympics because the Olympics were being held in Moscow in Russia, and we were boycotting because they invaded Afghanistan. Hello, does that sound familiar? All
Oh
right. So
my.
we were like, yeah, you cannot invade another country, occupy another country. We're not coming to your Olympics, blah blah blah. And then and so they returned the favor. They made up some excuse in 1984, and the Eastern Bloc countries didn't come to Los Angeles because the Olympics were in LA. And then, of course, in 1988, all countries got back together. 100, I think it was 161 out of 163 countries available showed up at that time. South Africa still was apartheid; they still weren't letting them in, and I think Cuba may not have came for some reason. But anyway, so I experienced we boycott them, they boycott us. Everybody comes to play. So
Wow.
three different versions of an Olympics. So what was it like? If you can imagine it, what it was like, the greatest, grandest sports festival in the world, being in front of millions of people on TV and hundreds of thousands of people in the stands, screaming, yelling, shouting, the noise, the smells, the excitement, the anticipation, the fear, of getting beat or not getting the medal. If you can imagine all that, that's exactly what it was like. Yeah,
Wow.
times 10.
Oh
So
my goodness.
yeah, so being an Olympian was a dream for me, and it was a dream that came true. I never truly expected I'd be in this position, but I had a lot of great role models along the way. And, hopefully, if we're joined by two people that are instrumental in my life, hopefully they'll join us or chime in, Steve Williams and then Mike Powell. I kind of was ahead of him, so hopefully I influenced him a little bit. But more importantly, I had great mentors that showed me how to navigate the professionalism of track and field and how to get the most out of it. Don't take yourself too seriously. Enjoy the moment because it can be taken away at any time. For me, I grew up in Carson, California, which had become, well, it was originally Compton, and then was annexed and became Carson. And for me, I grew up in a street of 14 houses, and there were 13 kids of my age on that street. And I was one of the slowest, if not the slowest. And the only reason why I probably wasn't the slowest because my sister was a little slower than me, but so how does God take somebody who's one of the slowest kids on his street and make him one of the fastest men in the world? And it was purely by divine intervention. And he put his thumb on me and just said, I'm going to take you places that you've never imagined. And I'm going to display my gifts that I give to the world, but understand I could take them away at any time. And if you go into a situation like that, and that's how I lived my 13-year professional career, at any moment it can be taken away from me. You enjoy it much more. You really do.
Wow, that's an amazing story. Oh my goodness, you're right. I mean, I've heard about stories like that where the underdog, so to speak, ends up coming out ahead of everyone. That's amazing. That
It's
is
true. It's true.
amazing. Oh my goodness. And I'm sure back then you guys didn't have to do the COVID testing like they had to do in Tokyo. I couldn't even imagine all that.
No, no. I mean, you know, my hat's off to these athletes now. I just put my Paralympic athlete on a plane today because the Paralympics start later next week, and unfortunately, I'm unable to go because the able-body Olympics, or the non, I should say, that able-body is now becoming a term that is not PC, correct? So the non-disabled Olympics, they allowed personal coaches to go, but the Paralympic athletes a Paralympic organization did not allow personal coaches to attend. So I'm at home having to hand off my athlete to somebody who I really don't know or doesn't know my athlete and wish them the best of luck. But if I've done anything right and if I'm worth my grain of salt as a coach, he's ready and he should do well. I mean, his name is Isaac John Paul. He'll be in the 100 meters and the long jump. category T12, which is visually impaired. So he's legally blind. Um, he also holds the world record in the high jump, but unfortunately, the high jump is not offered this year. But more importantly, I think has a great chance to come back with 2 gold medals in both of those events. So fingers crossed. But I'll be like you guys out there. I'll be a spectator as well. Although I will be WhatsApping, texting him, going, "Hey, I see this, I see that," and you probably won't get him till the following night, something like that. But
Man,
coach has to coach. Yeah.
that's got to be awesome
Yeah.
to coach an individual like that. I mean, just to know that they're legally can't really see, and man, that's
Yeah.
amazing. That is,
It is, and I've worked with a lot of different Paralympic athletes with a lot of different disabilities. Probably my most famous athlete that I work with now currently, unfortunately, she did not make the team, and that's a whole nother show we could do on the inequities of the Paralympic sport and gender inequities and some other inequities they have in terms of categorizing disabilities. But Scout Bassett is world renowned. If you want to look her up, you'll be surprised at who she is, and you'll be like, "Oh my God, I just saw her on the Peloton commercial." Yeah, that's me in the background, the guy. So Scout Bassett she was also in the body edition of ESPN magazine. She's the first Paralympic athlete in there. Like I say, she has commercials, Citibank, also she has commercials all over the place. And she is actually going to Tokyo herself, even though she didn't make the team. She's going there, and she's been hired by NBC to be one of the commentators. So we're really excited for her. Unfortunately, she didn't make the team because we went to her trials, her Olympic trials, and we were injured. And actually, a week later, we ran another race, and she would have made the team easily. But that week, we just needed one more week, and that's just the way it goes. So, yeah, so she gets to be move on to her next career, or at least gets a taste of her next career as being a commentator, because that's what she wants to do, and continue her platform and continue her branding. So it's going to be exciting to see her and on camera and see how she commentates on her friends and foes. Let's put it that way. We had dinner the other night because it was her birthday a few days ago, and I was like, now Scout, you got to be professional, be fair with your friends and your foes. Don't say too many things, don't give up too many secrets. So yeah, but it should be good. It should be good. So tune in. Those of you out there interested in the Paralympic sports. Paralympics are different than Special Olympics. That's the one hard thing they're trying to get across. Paralympics deals with amputations of the limbs, so above knee, below knee amputations, the arm amputations above the elbow, below the elbow.
Froze up.
What happened? Oh, we
Oh,
there?
you are. Yeah, you froze
You
up.
got me?
I got
Okay,
you.
okay.
Good.
Yeah, so yeah, Paralympic deals with mostly disabilities.
Oh no. Oh no, he's frozen.
Am
Oh,
I
there you
still
go.
frozen?
Yeah,
Okay,
no
God.
froze.
Oh my God. And I was worried about my home network freezing and the school $1 billion facilities freeze.
Oh, and you were telling us about the amputations above and below the
Oh
elbow.
yeah. So Paralympics, yeah, they're all the different categories are visually impaired. Then you have amputations above the knee, below the knee, and then you have amputations of the arms above and below, single or double, both men and women. I mean, legs and arms. Then you have cerebral palsy. You have those individuals that are disabled that are completely in wheelchairs. So they're and then you have deformities, some deformities, like one leg is shorter than the other, or like some kids were born, some athletes are born called seams. Their foot wasn't completely developed, so you have those. So there's a lot of different categories, but trust me, all these athletes are competitors in the heart and the spirit and the will, and they get after it. And some of their performances are world class comparative to the non-disabled athlete. There are a few, like for instance, a Blake Leaper, or there's a Marcus. I forgot Marcus' last name, from Germany. Marcus actually jumps further a lot of times than the Mike Powell. He's very close to Mike Powell's world record. So yeah, so there are some athletes that are that good that can compete against able-bodied athletes, and my athletes, they compete against able-bodied athletes all the time. They might be a little slower, like in Isaac's case. He beats able-bodied athletes all the time, and he's blind, and so, we kind of laugh a little bit, have a laugh to ourselves going, people are like, oh man, that blind guy beat me. It's like, yeah, well, you should have trained harder. You know?
That's so awesome. That's so inspiring that you help those athletes. That's wonderful.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
Absolutely.
What a way to give back. What a way to give back.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
Mhm.
stumbled into it though. Because I actually have been an Olympic coach for a while, and I was on the Olympic team as a manager. I've been on three in the manager staff, so about 6 years doing that, and it's great being on the non-disabled side. But I definitely are realizing that I'm more fulfilled being on the Paralympic side because these athletes crave the attention from coaches. Haven't had an opportunity to be trained by world-class coaches or the same type of theories and training modalities that the world-class athletes get. And so when you give them that, they're very appreciative of it.
Oh yeah. Wow, that's awesome. Tony, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, you were just talking about your athletes. What's the number one thing that you tell them to keep them focused and inspiring? Is there a quote? Is there a saying? What is something that you tell them to keep them?
That's a great question. And all my athletes would be chiming in right now. Yeah, he's got a billion stories. And you know what? When I first meet my athlete, we interview each other. And I explain to them that I'm not interviewing them, to see if I want to work with them. I'm interviewing them because we're about to enter into a long-term relationship. And I'm trying to apply for a job because I work for them. And they're tasking me with a job, and that job might be, coach, I want to be the world record holder. I want to go on and get a gold medal in Tokyo 2021. And so I need to know what their expectations are. And I go into them, say, look, you know, I got to get to know who you are, what makes you tick, what's got you to this point. But most importantly, I want you to know that I am not the best coach in the world, but I'm going to learn to be the best coach in the world for you. So I will never take myself to a point that I think I know it all. I'm going to always continue to seek the knowledge, seek the information, the new paradigm shifts that are out there, and bring them to the table to see if you benefit from that. So I'm always, if once I stop trying to grow in this sport, then I'm doing a disservice to my athletes. So I let them know that challenge me, push me to bring back the information to grow so I can make them grow.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. I love it. And,
Yeah.
I love hearing these stories where, like someone like yourself, you have a medal and you went back and you help and you do so much. That's what it's all about, and
Yeah.
inspiring them because
Yeah.
they could very well just go somewhere and feel sorry for themselves, but
Yeah.
definitely pushing them to be the best they can be.
To even to chime in and continue on that point, one of the things I do, and unfortunately, because if I would have been taking this call at home, I'd have my medal for you guys to see. But when we get to a new normal, whatever that's going to be, I'll resume to what I always do when I go and do speaking engagements, especially to kids, because it happened to me, and that's what gave me the spark in my spirit to try to pursue something greater than myself and try to go into and get a gold medal, whatever. But the one thing I do is I won that gold medal, and it was presented to me, but very few people in this world have one, and very even fewer people have ever seen one. And when I go to these speaking engagements, I make sure every child and a lot of time, most of the adults get a chance to hold it. I encourage them to put it around your neck. Go ahead and wear it, because I want them to feel it, even though they know it's not theirs, but they'll remember that for the rest of their life of what it felt like to have an Olympic medal around their neck and feel the weight of it and to feel to see what it feels like right there. And it's an amazing feeling. You would think, well, it's just ribbon and a piece of, an overgrown penny, as one of my coworkers called it.
Oh,
Um, but 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 realistically, it stands for so much more. I mean, it's the dedication, the hard work, the training, the collaboration of your entire team and coaches, and staff that help you, kept you together, put you back together when you got hurt. And it means so much more. And when you put that thing around your neck, it's an amazing feeling. And that's talking about this Olympics, that was the one big disappointment I had. Huge disappointment. The problem was, if you remember out there, if you remember watching the Olympics, the athletes had to bend over, pick the medal off of a tray and put it around their own necks. Part of the tradition is to be honored, to bend over and have somebody anoint you and to crown you a champion. I thought that was just like, okay, COVID has gone too far, because if that's the case, have the presenters wear gloves, put the thing around their neck. They have masks. The athletes have masks on. You both have masks on, so that's not an issue. You're only going to be within contact of a foot or so away from each other for 5 seconds, and they're saying you can be up to 15 minutes within 6 feet, for contact to happen. So why not honor them that way? And I just really was upset when I saw that. I mean, it was an amazing Olympics. It was extremely entertainment and surprising some events, but that just really put a damper on a lot of things for me, because I just know that feeling of when I got my medal and what it felt like, and they were missing that piece of the puzzle. That's the one piece that they might look back on going, God, I wonder what that would have felt like, if I got a medal around my neck, when they watch the next Olympics, something like that. So, but that was the one thing.
I can see exactly what you mean by that. You're right. You want to feel that special moment. And going back to what you said with the Olympics, how it was different because of COVID. I mean, look at Simone Biles. She felt like, she didn't go into, deep about it, but I can only imagine what it's like to compete and you don't have your family and your friends and it's nobody in the audience and somebody clapping and cheering you on. That in itself as well had to have been
Yeah.
difficult.
I'll be honest. I've tried to wrap my mind around that and put myself in that position. And a part of me says maybe I would have performed better because I can concentrate. A part of me says you would not perform better, because and I put those in context because in 1984, the Olympics were in Los Angeles. I went to USC, so we trained in the Coliseum where the Olympics were held. The warm-up track was on the USC track. The athletic village was in the dorms where I lived. So nothing really was that special. But then the other part of it was I was in lane for the finals. I was in lane 7, I think I was. Yeah, I was in 7 and Roger King was in 8. And you're right against the fence. And when you're in an exotic protocol, there's a lot of different languages. Some people, of course, will speak English. Some people will call your name, but they can't really say anything beyond your name because they can't really, they don't have a conversation available, or cannot communicate with you. But then when you're in the Olympics in '84, you have 90,000 people there that speak English for the most part, and they're all sitting there chatting with me, trying to get my attention and talking to me. So I'm right there getting ready to get in my zone or trying to get ready, and they're going, Tony, how's it feeling? What you doing? What's going on? I'm so proud of you. Really, I'm rooting for you. I'm like, shut up, trying to concentrate, And so when we went to Korea, it was so much easier to zone out the crowd and get into that focal zone. If you ever remember that movie, For the Love of the Game with Kevin Costner,
Yes.
that's one of my favorite movies, sports movie, because it's the only movie I know that was close to what actually happens when you really get into a zone. Everything disappears. I mean, all you see is the hurdles, the track, the starter. You might hear your competitors breathing a little bit, and the beauty of it all, you can selectively, out of 100,000 people, you can selectively allow in so many voices or a certain voice. For me, I was trained to do that. And I had my coach set up at hurdle 3 because that was one of my first stages I needed to accelerate. My mother and father they were about at hurdle 2, about 30 rows up. I could hear my mother's voice. My dad wasn't going to say nothing, but I could hear my mother scream. And I had a teammate at hurdle 7. I heard, swear to God, in my race, I heard all 3 of them in my race because I was that focused. I didn't hear 100,000 people. I couldn't hear their cheers, but I heard those 3 voices. and that's the beauty of what you can do. So could I have competed, without crowds? Possibly, because I was well trained to do it. But there's nothing like having a crowd there. It really is. As long as they're not talking to you on the fence, going, "How's it going? What you up to?"
Oh, wow, that's an amazing
Yeah.
story. How you could just drown out everyone else, but those three individuals.
Yeah,
Wow.
check the if you guys want, ever want to see that. I mean, YouTube, that scene when Kevin Costner's he's a pitcher pitching the perfect game, and his verbal cue to himself was clear the mechanism, and everything just disappears. I mean, I wasn't that brilliant to say something in my head, clear the mechanism. I just would go, just start focusing, and everything would just disappear beyond that. So yeah, it's I still can do it when I have to, but it's I haven't been in front of 100,000 people in a while, so I might be a little rusty.
That's an amazing story. Oh my goodness. Oh wow. So what kind of advice would you give to someone who's out there watching that wants to one day train for the Olympics? What would you tell them to do?
Okay, well, go back to what I first said. If they were here from the very beginning, remember, don't sell yourself short. I mean, was one of the slowest kids on a block of 14 houses and 13 kids become one of the fastest men in the world of all time. So that doesn't just happen overnight. It takes years of training, it takes trust, it takes a lot of luck, but it also takes a community of support, whether that's your family, your relationships, whether it's your sisters, brothers. For me, I had great coaching. I had great coaching. My coach, who I stayed with for 16 years, because he discovered me out of high school, recruited me to USC, then became my personal coach. Through my whole career, and we retired together. Loyalty meant a lot to me because he knew me better than anything, and he's like my second dad. I mean, I actually call him dad. Ken Matsuda had never been over a hurdle in his life. Little short Japanese guy. He's like Mr. Miyagi kind of guy. But you know what? But he knew me. And matter of fact, I probably did a little plagiarism right then, a little earlier, saying when I tell my athletes I will be the best coach for them because I will learn, I don't know everything. I'll try to learn to be. He told me that. I got that from him. That's the same conversation he gave me. And I thought that was powerful. And I've hopefully my athletes feel the same way. But, you know, you can never go into a situation, even as a coach here at this college, I accept everybody at every level because you never know what impact you're making on them. Whether you're in the process of developing and making an Olympian or just making and developing somebody who loves a sport who becomes an Olympic level coach, or you're making somebody who's making a life change that's going to last forever and it's going to be benefiting them for health and fitness. So, stay in it. If you want to be an athlete, do it for the love of it. Yes, there's a lot of money. There is an awful lot of money in track and field. People don't realize that track and field athletes can make a fair living, a better than fair living, but don't do it for the money. Do it for the love and open yourself, to your creator's, gifts and your abilities. And don't pigeonhole yourself to one event or the other, because you might be like me, 6'3", and pretty good size, and you're perfect for the hurdles. But I may not have been that good to be a shot putter. I need a little bigger, or I might have been too big to be some other event. So you know, if your passion is one event, stay with your passion, but also be true to yourself, realizing that your love may not be the right fit. You may actually be that hurdler instead of being that shot putter, or vice versa. So, just understand that. Just know that. And just go for it. Have fun. This is the most ancient sport of all. This sport was invented when that caveman had to run back to his cave, because he was going to get eaten by a tiger or whatever. And track and field began, So, just remember that it's the most ancient sport and it's the easiest sport to get into. Just put some shoes on or go barefoot on the grass and go run.
Go for
Go
it.
run, go jump, go, do whatever.
Mhm.
It's great. And it's the sport you can do for life. There are youth clubs all the way to masters. Every now and then, I'm sure everybody sees some of these reports. A 90-year-old, a 100-year-old ran the world record in the 60-meter dash or the world record, in the 100-meter dash. And they're out there doing it. They still have masters in all levels, all age groups, all the way up to 100 years age. They have a group of people that do that. And so,
Wow.
enjoy it. Enjoy it. So.
Definitely. You probably saw me doing a thumbs up because this whole time Steve was trying to connect. He finally connected. So I'm gonna bring him in.
My man, my man. Steve, my man.
Good to see you, youngster.
Oh my God. Girl, you have no idea how happy my heart is right now. I haven't seen Steve in a while. And it's my man.
Oh man, it's like my history in the sport is so deep with all of you, man. It's like there's a brotherhood love there that will never change. If I don't see you in 50 years, it's still big smile when I see your face. What's going on?
Yeah, now, Dre, I mean, seriously, when I talked about mentors, when everybody asks me how was I successful, I tell them, there are certain people, there are 3 people in my life that made me successful in track and field and beyond track and field in business. Because Steve, when I made my first team, me and him roomed together in a couple places, Pisa, Italy, in a couple places, and he sat me down. Him, Ronaldo Nehemiah, and Steve Scott. They all sat me down, and 3 of them have very similar statements. They said, "Set yourself up in business outside of track and field, invest your money, and live beneath your means. Don't get caught in the trappings of the rich. Don't go out and buy the gold chains, the fancy cars, all that. So those things can come later, but do you?" And I bought myself a restaurant. I invested my money. I got property, and it's all because this man right here. He taught me.
He listened to me, but I didn't listen to me.
But that's another story.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Steve Williams. He is at one time the fastest man in the world. Tell everybody about yourself, Steve.
Well, I was very blessed to start off very young running. I had a knack for it. When I wound up being in high school, I wound in the streets in New York, in the Bronx. I was the fast kid and all of those things. I was fortunate enough, as Tony, is to have people before us in our sport that really gave me the motivation, education, and the backbone to do what we do. I happen to have been fortunate enough to have been training with John Carlos and Bob Beeman when I was 15 years old. I was running at the New York Pioneer Club where we were training in the Hellfire 385 Black Brigade Armory, where every day that we went that I 3 times a week, I'm walking past all of the pictures of the black soldiers. They had their tanks in the armory. It was just something to grow up to see. I was training with Carlos because they would come into town. Bob Beeman, oddly enough, was going out with my cousin. So I met Bob Beeman when I was like 15, so it was just, I came under track royalty. And that if I just mentioned starting off with them at 15 years old, I was raised with the royalty, so I wound up in my long career, I wound up having my first world record was the world junior record in the 400. I ran 45.2 yards and 44.8 meters at 18 years old.
Wow.
And never ran it again.
Smart man.
We're not talking about the time. We're just talking about the race.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I never seriously got in the blocks for 400 again. Yeah. I ran relays, etc. But I became a sprinter. And I got hurt in 1972 prior to the Olympics. I was 6'4", so trying to put together 6'4" into that box that fit into short sprints was a lot of work, a lot of stress and strain on a tall body. But I got hurt in 72, and I was picked to make it in all three events, 100, 200, and 400.
Wow.
But 1973, I came back and I ran a world record in 100 yards at
Hmm.
Fresno, California, in a very ugly dirt track. I ran 9-1 twice that day, oddly enough. And that sort of launched me into really being a bona fide sprinter. After that, the following year that same year I was national champion in the 100 and the 200 at 19 years old, which was the youngest and still is one of the few records I hold as the double at youngest at that time. I went on from that period of time from 74 to 76. I ran the world record 100 meters 5 times 9.9, and the 220-yard dash 19.9. Don Quarry and I at the Prefontaine meet, which is getting ready to come up tomorrow.
Yep.
So I've got a little history there. I had a little plaque in there as far as our record in the stadium. And in 76, I got injured again. 77, I came back as a World Cup champion, first time, and world record on the relay. In 80, now my 80 story is that I made the team by being in the 100-meter pool. I got fifth, but I refused. And you know how ornery I was, Tony, about the money and about the whole amateur thing and the way they was exploiting all of us. I refused to even sign the papers for the Olympics.
Gotcha.
Mel Rosen was the coach, and Mel said to me, Steve, you should do this. Just sign the papers. I know you're not going to compete with us, but just sign the papers. And I said, no. And the next day, I was in Italy running a race.
There you go.
That year, I wound up being the number one American in the 200 without even running the Olympic trials because I was winning all over Europe. And so that was my little Olympic story. 84, which I was sort of old at the time, I was 30, 31. And I missed making the finals by 100th of a second. And I retired in 84 after a lovely career from 1971 to 1984, and the most 100-meter records ever run at the time, and world records in 4 or 5 events. So I rest as being what I consider an all-terrain sprinter, because I would run in the rain. I've got records in the rain. I've got records on dirt. I've got records with the headwind. You know how it is, Tony.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were trekking. Okay,
Yeah,
these guys got it easy, right?
Dude, on fast tracks, easy tracks, exactly.
Fast tracks, good money.
Yeah.
Got somebody traveling with you with masseuse. All of them.
Exactly.
That's the only thing I miss. I miss Bolt's money because I was the tallest before Bolt came around.
And
so I miss his money.
They forget that. Yeah.
Yeah. I miss his money. That's about it. The rest of it, I wouldn't trade for anything.
Yeah. Them kids, he made. There's a few kids, him and even with Marion Jones, they were making tons of more money than we were making. But Dre, the one thing that I'll comment what Steve was talking about for our audience. In 1980, he chose not to sign the paperwork, and I did. And I found out that paperwork was signing you into a trust fund that whatever money you made on the circuit, while you were competing under the U.S. Team, they were making money off you and putting it in a trust fund and taking your cash. And there's a lot of money that I never saw that was supposed to be in my name that I never saw it again. So They were making money off. They were making money.
I had a Swiss bank account that time, but I won't say that.
We didn't have that conversation apparently because I needed one of those.
I don't tell on myself too much because statute of limitations is over on it. But Andres Brugger from Zurich, took me and signed me up at Swiss Credit Bank in Zurich in 1975.
Sweet.
Young man. So I knew the game. They were there. They were abusing us. When I see great athletes that I used to train with, like Wes Williams.
Yeah.
Wes was is my heart, one of my mentors. And I seen Wes work on a truck all night long and then come to practice and train. And he wasn't supposed to have to do that. And the number of the kids in America wasn't supposed to have to do these things just to be able to train. And then when we go to Europe and the Italians are living like little dons, and the Germans, and let alone the East Germans and Russians, we don't USSR, we don't even get into those drug stories because Tony, you was fighting against some guys that were taking the best stuff on the planet. Me too. I was fighting them guys. First time I saw Borzov in 1973, we were in Minsk, Soviet Union.
Right.
And I looked at his legs and I said, man, I guess I shouldn't have been eating all them hamburgers and living a cushy life. I said, look at this guy's legs. I whooped his ass and looked at him in the middle of the race. It was one of those rocking moments that you have in life.
Valery
USA versus Congo.
Yeah. Valery Borzov was a scientific experiment by the Russians, and he was touted as the specimen of sprinting, and Steve whooped his ass multiple times.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. And you see, and a lot of the things is, when you talk about a rocky moment, here it was. He was double Olympic champion. I'm in his country the year after. We're running the relay because he was trying to avoid running other things. And the next thing you know, our relay team didn't have the best stick passes, and I wound up being 3 or 4 meters behind him. Now I'm very Bronx. I don't want to say I'm racist, but in the sprints, it's supposed to be the Cosa Nostra, our thing.
Right.
And it set me even worse.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, I hunted Manea, God rest his soul, in Italy first, because I had, it's just made my blood boil that the white guy had the medals, and that Eddie Hart and my boy Ray Robinson got cheated that year in 1972.
And they were the ones that missed the bus to the Olympic final because they changed the schedule, so they were not allowed to. They missed their race in Munich.
Wow.
A lot of controversy behind the scene that they were setting this up to have a European champion because of Borzov, etc.
Yeah,
so
it was crazy. They changed the schedule and didn't inform the U.S. team about it. So there was the head of the IOC was a U.S. guy, Avery Brundage, but he was not. He wanted to control a certain population of athletes of a certain persuasion, if you get my drift. And it's been stated and documented in history books about his racism. So he purposely, I think, had a vendetta.
They wanted the European. They wanted the European.
Yeah, they
wanted the European Olympics. Yes, they did.
Yeah.
So just things that when people say about representing your country and this and that, and I know Tony and I are proud of representing the United States. I mean, we take it damn seriously. I mean, there were times where we're all over the world doing something else, but if it's USA Russia, everybody's stopping what they're doing. Come there, bring their A game and knock these guys off, because it was, from us, it was not only about them as the athletes, but it was the system and communism. And we knew all of them were doping. I mean, we just know it was a national program. They still got banned. Tony could tell you better than I. They got banned in Rio. I mean, I'm telling you stories from 1973, and the same issue was going on in 2016 with the Russians.
Exactly. Actually, 2020. I mean, that's why they made the soft shift and called them the Russian Olympic Committee, but they still won't be that. They still won't allow them to be Russia because they're still serving bans for systematic drugging. So Russia just doesn't play fair. They just don't.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Steve, before you came on, I asked Tony what advice would he give to someone who want to get into track and field, be an Olympian one day? What advice would you give to someone young that's watching?
You know, I was in the Bronx, and the police athletic league had a program. The police would just literally block off the street, take a little chalk device and make lanes on the street. They take a scale, and boy or girl, if you weighed 75 pounds, boy or girl, you were running 75 pounds. And after I ran, a policeman walked up and he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, you know, I think you can do this. I think you can do this. A white cop, I think you can do this. And that was that.
Wow.
After that, I was training regularly. I was training. I didn't have a coach, so I would watch the Olympics, and I saw Tommy Smith running. Tommy was so skinny and so graceful,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, I'm skinny. He's skinny. I can do it. Because Tony, we were skinny.
Yeah, we were.
compared to the guys now.
You really show up from here up, you know.
We were, I said. We were, operative word.
Yeah.
But we were skinny guys when you see the guys now. So when I saw Tommy Smith and he was so skinny and world record, and obviously with the Olympic protests, I mean, I wanted to be Tommy Smith. And he had high knee lifts. And so I was so inspired by the people that I watched, and I didn't have a coach. So I had this general feeling that, well, if they're doing 8 times 200, I should do 16. If there no coach, just pick a number. Pick a number, make it big. Okay. And so I sort of literally repetitioned myself into being an athlete. And then I got with the New York Pioneers, with Carlos and Norm Tate, and the New York Pioneer Club group that Mel Pender used to drop in every now and then. So I had a whole 68 group around me, and they always said to me, he says, oh man, the way you finish your race, you just need to chase fast guys. And I went to school in Texas. But just somebody along the way recognizing that you have the talent or even the glimpse of talent, and then you being able to work, because running ain't easy. It's hard work. It's a lot of work.
Absolutely.
When you see, I was fortunate enough after track years, I coached professional athletes. I coached the New York Mets from 88 to 92. I coached the Jets. I coached the Houston Oilers. I coached the Dolphins. I was over a lot of athletes. And anytime you see the athletes and you're trying to make these guys faster, they're making so many mistakes compared to our business, Tony,
Yeah.
and that they're getting better now, but they're making so many mistakes that you can fix them 1, 2, 3. And then you say to them, okay, now you got to go and run a mile. And they look at you like, run a mile?
Exactly.
Are you crazy? And that's how tough that running is. That it's the punishment for other sports.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Good point. Good point.
It's the punishment.
Wow. That's amazing. I mean, that's good advice, definitely. And it sounds like, you guys were during the era where you really had to work. You really had to work. You didn't have Google and YouTube to look up other people, how their styles. And wow, that's an amazing story.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask the audience, do you guys have any questions for these awesome men of track and field? Please chime in. Somebody said, wow, impressive. Someone else said you had to have a lot of drive and determination, a mind of success. So Tony was saying earlier, Steve, that he could zone out those voices and just focus. Is that pretty much what you did as well when you came to competing?
There's an interesting aspect that comes to competing. As Tony was saying, you clear your mind. Back we were old school. You'd envision. There's a lot of mental visualization. I wound up taking transcendental meditation in 1975, just because my life was so hectic, and that, just like Tony said, you got to pull it all together, shut everything else down. I was my own agent, Tony will tell you. I was my own manager. I was roughing them up for the money. I was roughing up to shoot companies. We'll be here all day if we talk about my off the track exploits, as far as holding the gun to their head and making them pay us. Okay. So all of that was getting to be too much in my head. And so I got down to transcendental meditation to clear my mind and to concentrate. You have to do that. You have to shut everything out. Like Tony was talking earlier about hearing people. You can only hear, people who I told my friends, my important friends, my middle name, which I'm not going to give you guys, but so they could scream from the stand, and I know it was them because they're the only ones that knew my middle.
I'm going to Google it, man. I'm going to find out.
So there is a competitive concern that people don't really look at. Tony was getting to it. When we talk about when you step in a stadium, there's two things that I used to bring to step into a stadium. And I was vicious for going to. I go into Italy, 70,000 people screaming Manea's name. I go into Jamaica, 70,000 people in Jamaica and 5,000 in the parking lot screaming Quarry's name, right? Borzov, going down to Trinidad and hunting Hazel down, right? Right? Okay. I mean, I was known for that gunfighter kind of attitude,
And Hazel was screaming his own name. So.
Yeah. So I was that gunfighter kind of attitude, just go and, you pay me, I'm here. I don't care what's going on, we do it. But when you step in the stadium, you have to be honest with yourself that there's two things that I used to try to embrace. There's only two emotions that create an adrenalated performance. Two emotions. I read a book a long time ago on emotional intelligence, that your emotions tell your body what to do. And those two emotions that make the adrenal gland work is fear and anger. Mm. When you see a mother, you hear a story of a mother picked up the car off her baby. That's fear. You have anger when you see a guy punch a hole in a concrete wall. Mm. Those are the two emotions that get your adrenal gland going, that get you having the optimum performance. Almost those X-Men performances. So I developed where if I got in the stadium, I would do which one of them would hit me. Yeah, am I up in there? Am I afraid? Do I got fear? Am I running for my life today? Or I got anger? Am I the hunter and I'm hunting everybody down today? And sometimes I wouldn't know which one would hit me. And I get in the stadium and say, oh man, I'm nervous today. Yeah. So we're running for our life, okay? Yeah. Oh, I'm pissed off. What? They calling my name? What is white guys? What? Let me hunt them down. Just a little performance trick that most people don't realize. And I said I've coached all these professional athletes. And then when I tell them this story, many of them say, as an individual athlete, that's why I couldn't be an individual athlete. Because I get scared. I get nervous. And I'd have to look around for my teammates to make me unnervous. But if I was out there by myself, I'd just be nervous out there by myself, and it's just having to, again, an emotional intelligence, telling the cells of your body what to do. It's, you were going in that same direction, Tony, but I heard you talking earlier.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Fight or flight.
Yeah, you're gonna make me, yeah, fight or flight. You're gonna make me relive a lot of my races in my head and go, which emotion took control of my adrenal gland that day? Because you're right. There are some races I knew I was the baddest MF out there, and I was hunting. And there was other days that I was like, oh shit, I don't want to get beat. I don't, I can't let this guy beat me. Oh, oh, oh. And I was scared, and I ran out of pure fear, So yeah, I mean, I get it, totally get it, yeah. And
Oh
and
yeah,
you embrace it. You embrace it actually,
So it's mental.
you embrace it.
yeah.
You
Wow.
embrace it. And it's funny that when it seems simple in one respect. Everybody says that, oh wow, you're right. When I was afraid, I used to do this. When I was angry, I used to do that. But channeling it down to, we get ready to put our fingers on the line for the start, right? And then you got to bring it. You have to bring it. Another thing that happens with adrenaline is that if you've ever been in a car accident, you've been in a car accident, everything goes slow.
Slow.
Everything
Time
slows down, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, and that's when I do it through my meditations and stuff, they would discuss this, and that's again your adrenal gland. It's literally changing time for you to
Absolutely.
give you the chance to save yourself. It goes back to the prehistoric time when we were running from animals. Okay, you were running for your life. Okay, the adrenal gland used to be as big as the brain in a prehistoric man, and then the adrenal gland, you didn't have to run for your life all the time, so the brain got bigger, the adrenal gland got smaller. So it's again that's stepping between the seconds. Again, we're going to talk about stuff that I know you've experienced, Tony. In your best races, it gets slow motion.
Slow. It's like, I mean, Steve's race lasted under 10 seconds, 9 seconds. Most of the time, mine's only 13 seconds. But I tell you what, I mean, even my first published book, I talk about that. It's like time slows down. In the middle of a 13-second race, I can be, in my mind, I could read 3 or 4 chapters of War and Peace. I mean, if things are just going that slow, I see everything, feel everything. I have conversations with myself. And even though I'm moving at 20, 30 miles an hour down the track, a lot of things are happening. And I'm just like, this seems so slow. Everything's just taking forever, to happen. And it's an amazing feeling. It really is.
It's you watch only recently in movies do they put it out there where I say, yeah, that's how it looks. You watch the X-Men and the guy is stepping between the moments. So you watch the Matrix when he's leaning back and the bullets are going on. I mean, yeah, that's how it looks to me. But I'm like saying, you tell people that, they think
you're crazy.
You're high, you're crazy.
Yeah, but it's true though. It's true. I mean,
it's true.
Like Steve and I who have experienced it, we know it. We do know time when things are happening fast and you're so well prepared. Time slows down. It's
the amount of times that you see me doing that very ugly behavior of looking at people in the middle of the race, right? Okay, which I was terribly famous for, right? Is that I had so much time. I mean, it's only a 9-second race, but my mind went the last 30 because that last 30 was hunting time for me. You know how far behind I was, right? In most races, it would get slow, and I'm like, I'm coming for them, and it's so nice and slow. And then I said, ooh, I should look.
Wow.
and when you see some of these top women's sprinters and men's sprinters, and they get at that last 30 and 20, and the coach is screaming, oh, run through the tape, run through the tape. Sometimes, and you can admit it too, Tony, is that at that top end, right, there's literally nothing else you can do but relax and see it through. Anything else is counterproductive, right?
Exactly.
You're flowing, and you got to let the flow go.
Exactly. Got to go with it. Yeah.
Awesome.
So now I've given away all the competitive secrets. I want everybody watching to go out there and be champions.
Nice. I love it.
You got kids, send them to Tony.
I need people. This COVID's destroyed my team, man.
Oh, Steve, you sound like you should write a book about that. I mean, that can apply to so many other aspects in life as well, sounds like.
Everybody's on my ass about writing the book. I was working with a writer on a Netflix. I had written a script quite some time ago, sort of a buddy movie, sort of a Miami Vice meets Animal House, because we got enough Animal House stories in Tony to fill a series, right?
We do.
Okay,
we
so,
do. We'll
I'm
keep
sort of
it PG on this time.
What?
The kids are
It's
watching.
easy now, Steve.
This is a PG show now.
I told Dre earlier, I said, I'm kind of controversial. You sure you want me on? I told her on the phone, I said, you sure now?
So what's next for you guys? What's on the horizon? Anything exciting coming up that you're involved in, or?
Well, I just accepted a new role at my college as the assistant athletic director. So, like I said, I've got a new hat that I've got to deal with that, because I'm slowly going to try to transition out of coaching into the administrative role, which is something I thought my career path would always lead me to. But I'm still having fun coaching Olympic athletes and Paralympic athletes. So I just want to get through Tokyo, and then we have Paralympics, and Able Body has World Championships next year. So as soon as they come back, we reset, reevaluate what's happening. Not just this last season. We got to look at the last year and a half, because we had a lot of downtime, how we handle some stuff. So we still move forward, and then from there, who knows where God's going to take me next. So
okay, awesome. And what about you, Steve?
I had created such a drama during my track years. I was the first athlete to go pro. I left San Diego State and continued to go to school there. Adidas was paying my education for me, and so I sort of drove myself out of the NC2A programs, etc. And again, Tony don't want me to go into all of that, because I'm so anti.
Another show. Yeah, because
that's another show.
So many things have changed now. Yeah, kids can make
what?
it now. Yeah. So
yeah, the NC2A, I battled them over to make everybody make this money here.
Yeah.
I laid down the gauntlet with the shoe companies. I asked for more money than they ever dreamed of thinking about asking. Any track meet that we'd go to, I was always tell the guys, ask for more money, ask for more money, ask for more money. So I never really got involved in the school aspect of it. As I said, I was coaching professional athletes. But in the last, say, 10 years, I've been involved in overseas business, commodities, I was very fortunate. I mean, I was meeting prime ministers and Swiss bankers and understanding commodities and currencies, etc. So I've been in international business for about the last 15 years. And COVID has slowed some business down that I was doing down in South America with my wife, but it's all coming back. It's coming back.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, you guys should sit down and write a book about all your stories. I would just love to hear them. I bet some funny stories in there.
We'd have to change all the names because we get sued.
Well,
the things that we've seen, a lot of people don't want that stuff out there. They really don't.
I was famous for being faster off the track than on the track.
Oh, okay.
Now, and because he just said that, I have to amend my statement. Steve was a mentor only in certain things,
Oh.
So, I was the young kid on the circuit. He didn't teach me certain things, and thank God,
I can only.
I was a bit of a ladies' man and a rascal. I'm going now. I'm talking too much.
Well, you guys got to come back on. This is awesome. I appreciate you guys coming on so much.
Absolutely. And I can't leave without saying we wouldn't have done this except we love your uncle. Bart is our heart.
It's all right. Absolutely.
Bart,
that's the man.
Yeah.
Bart is our heart, okay? And he's a Williams, so
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely got to do another show with him. I tried to get him to come on. He was like, "No, let them have it." But yeah, we got to do another show. Definitely.
That's he's my heart. Okay.
Oh, yes, yes,
So, so
yes.
don't let him tell nothing about me. He's lying. Okay. But
No, he ain't. He ain't.
Hilarious. Well, you
all
guys,
right.
I'll definitely be in touch. Please, if you're not too busy, I'd love to have you guys come back on. Definitely.
All
So,
right. I know. I'd
All
be
right.
my guest. Be my pleasure.
Okay. I figured it out. I figured it out the system now. I'll make it easier this time.
I saw you. You kept trying. I was like, he is
Uh,
persistent. He is truly an Olympian. He was just trying to get in.
I said I was going to line up, didn't I?
Steve, my brother, it's
All right.
good seeing you, and
Good to see you,
we'll
man.
touch base. All right,
We'll
we'll
do it
touch base.
again.
So
Talk to
much.
you soon. All
All
right.
right,
Bye,
thank you,
guys.
Trey.
Thank
All right.
you. Bye bye. Oh wow, that was awesome, you guys. Awesome. Olympians. And they mentioned my Uncle Bart. Yes, he is one as well. He ran track and field with those guys. So awesome, guys. Awesome. I was a little kid watching my uncle do all those wonderful things. So, anywho, thank you so much, Tony Campbell, Steve Williams, and my uncle Barton Williams for helping me put the show together. I love you, love you, love you. So, you guys, as we close out the show, just I found this quote, and it basically says, "Then give to the world the best you have, and the best will come back to you." And I love that because how befitting to go along with what we were just talking about, how you give back, and with Tony helping the children and Steve helping athletes. That's wonderful. And by the way, that quote was by Madeline Bridges. So, as I tell you guys every week, make sure that you do one good thing for one person each day, and you can affect 165 lives. And if no one has told you that they love you, know that I love you. Stay safe out there. If you haven't been vaccinated, get the shot. And if you've been vaccinated, get the booster shot. So, with that, I love you guys. Have a blessed, safe weekend, and I'll see you next time. And with that, I'm out.